75% partial closure, or supply chain disruptions, or limits on the number of people you could have in an area, or many other possible factors. Beware of companies that only consider the easy way and avoid the complex way, and also companies that fraudulently say everybody qualifies, especially companies that only just recently came into existence and then can disappear. We've been practicing tax law for over 30 years. Call Moskowitz LLP at 888-TAX-DEAL. That's 888-TAXDEAL. 888-TAX-DEAL or MoskowitzLLP.com. MOSKOWITZ.com.
Running a linguistic inventory, scanning through the catalog of human language, looking for random words that suddenly, out of nowhere, and for no intelligible reason, declare problematic and insensitive. And this week, the cultists seem to be putting in some overtime work, as there are multiple examples, just from this week, of benign words and phrases being declared suddenly and indiscernibly offensive. But today we're going to focus only on USA Today and an article written by diversity and inclusion reporter Rafael Oliver. The headline asks, is it time to stop saying aloha and other culturally sensitive words out of context? Not to spoil the ending, but yes, it is time, apparently. That's what he wants to tell us. He writes, quote, aloha, hola, shalom. These are ways to say hello, Hawaiian, Spanish, or Hebrew, respectively. Just because you can say something doesn't mean it's always appropriate. On the surface, simple greetings and phrases from other races and cultures may seem fine to sprinkle into our vernacular. Did you know that aloha doesn't just mean hello or goodbye? Quote, it's a greeting or a farewell, but the meaning is deeper, says Mel Arvin, the director of Pacific Island Studies at the University of Utah. One of my Hawaiian language teachers taught it to me as aloha means recognizing yourself in everyone and everything you meet. If you're not Hawaiian and you say it, it could come off as mockery. That's just one word to think about. The use of certain words requires education, knowledge, and the foresight to understand when they should or shouldn't come out of your mouth. Yes, David Oliver of USA Today will tell you what should or shouldn't come out of your mouth. You cannot be trusted to simply go around speaking and saying words all willy-nilly. You need guidance and instruction and correction, and David Oliver is here to provide it. Very nice of him. Something to keep in mind, by the way, when considering the subject that we began the show with today, people are squeamish about imposing our collective will on criminals, punishing them and forcing them to comply with the law and the standards of basic human decency. But I'm willing to bet that, David Oliver himself would take great exception to everything I said about that subject. And yet, these same squeamish, gentle, tolerant folks suddenly adopt a quite different attitude when it comes to normal, law-abiding citizens who say words and express ideas that they don't like. Now, it's not true then to say that we live in a permissive society. It's more accurate to say that we are a society permissive specifically of criminals and social leeches, but quite stern and controlling when it comes to normal people who do, say, and think normal things. Now, granted, David isn't suggesting caning or executing white people who use the word aloha, but I'm not sure that he necessarily objected to that suggestion either. Back to his article, he says, of course, not all uses of language outside someone's culture are problematic. Well, we live in a multilingual world where we're always influencing one another's language practices, where we might come into contact with a variety of terms or language practices that we have not grown up with. That's Nikki Lane, cultural and linguistic anthropologist. Intention matters most. Dropping hola or shalom to someone who speaks Spanish or Hebrew, for example, isn't something to worry about. Actively don a fake, exaggerated accent and say those words, well, therein lies the problem. Yeah, but what if the fake accent is hilarious? Can we carve out an exception for exaggerated accents that are particularly funny? Probably not. Continuing, it says, quote, like saying ni hao to someone Asian American with the Chinese, this could be both othering and a microaggression. What we need is a critical consciousness in our public around the language, says Jeffrey McCune, director of the Frederick Douglass Institute of African and African American Studies at the University of Rochester. Language is too critical to our culture that we can't just casually use language in ways that might offend and or even do harm to certain groups of people. It's the larger cultural considerations around the use of these words that matter most. Quote, I don't think the intention is necessarily to be offensive or anything, but for Native Hawaiian people, Hawaiian language was banned in schools after the Hawaiian kingdom was overthrown, Arvin says. Considering how difficult it has been to keep the language alive, to see someone using it without respect is really difficult for that reason. So it's been difficult to keep the Hawaiian language alive, which is why we don't want people to use it. There was allegedly an effort to eradicate the language, and now parts of the language are so common that even people who are not Hawaiian use it, and that's a bad thing. Well, it's only bad when the word is used without respect. But what sort of respect do we need to grant a word like aloha? What kind of sacred reverence do you need to see? I'm not sure I know how to respect the word aloha, even if I cared enough to try, which I don't. Whatever they mean by respect, the point is that our intentions are what matters. That's what they say. And on that point, I actually agree. What matters most in any human communication is intention. You cannot know how to respond to someone or how to feel about what they've said until you understand their intention behind their words, the meaning they were trying to convey. The words and syllables themselves are less functionally important in most day-to-day communication than the intended meaning behind them. Somebody might phrase something incorrectly or use a word in the wrong way, but if you know what they mean, which most of the time you do, then the communication was successful, and only a tedious, pedantic jerk would feel the need to go back and correct them. The problem is that when the left says intention is what matters, what they mean to say is, my perception of your intention is what matters. They don't actually care about your intention behind your own words. That can be less relevant. The words themselves are also basically irrelevant. They will just arbitrarily decide what your motivations and intentions were, and they will adjust their level of offense accordingly. But don't worry, though. They're not going to leave you entirely in limbo, wondering what you should or shouldn't say and how you should or shouldn't say it. They won't leave me in that limbo because I simply don't care at all about their language rules, and I'm not waiting for their permission to say anything. But if you are concerned about the rules and if you are determined to follow them, well, our white knight friend, David Oliver, concludes his article with some very helpful tips. Here they are. Quote, these action items will help keep your language in check. Number one, make an effort to befriend people from other cultures. Step outside your comfort zone. Talk to people who do not share our values or our experiences. That's Suni Rucker Chang, Associate Professor at the Center for Slavic, East European, and Eurasian Studies at the Ohio State University. You'll likely get a better feel for what's appropriate this way. Two, ask yourself why you are saying the term. Are you using the term because you want to say something besides hello or hey? Consider the cultural implications before you do. McCune says, is it to the benefit of laughter and sarcasm and satire? Or is it a genuine interest in being a part of a cultural community that recognizes the historical meaning and historical significance of various terms? Three, remember the weight of words. Quote, language is really about power, says Rucker Chang. And I think that the person who is using these terms needs to be more aware of the origins of them. Or avoid terms you don't know. Once you learn, you might decide you don't want to use the term because you see that it is indexing certain things that have nothing to do with you and which might reproduce ideas in which you are not interested in reproducing. What? Okay. 5, educate. Whether it's history of colonialism in Hawaii or other significant historical facts, knowledge helps fight ignorance. Now, one thing they don't cover is what about when I intentionally mispronounce foreign words and foreign names simply because I find it amusing to butcher terms I'm not familiar with? Like, what about when I do that? Okay, can I do that? I guess it's not okay. That's my guess. Which only makes it more amusing to me, which ensures that I will continue doing it even more. As for the rest, it's all nonsense, of course. Consider the cultural implications before saying hello to someone. How is it even possible to function in society if you have to treat every conversation like some sort of explorer making contact with a primitive jungle tribe for the first time, paranoid that one wrong move or phrase will result in a spear through your chest and your corpse roasting over, an open fire for dinner? Of course, it's not possible to function that way, which is part of the point. These people are very much opposed to any functional vision of society or human interaction. Function is what they hate most of all. And what in the hell does she mean when she says, language is about power? I mean, that's the kind of utterly nonsensical statement that college professors make to their students all the time, who are meant to just sit there and mindlessly consume the nonsense like baby birds inhaling whatever half-digested muck is spewed at them. If you sit and think about it, though, for more than half a second, you realize that it makes no sense. And it makes no sense in the most cynical and hideous way imaginable. Because she is casting ordinary communication, polite greetings between people, as power struggles. When you say hello to someone, it's a power struggle. You are exercising power over them by saying hi. She suggests that people ought to bring their ancestral resentments and blood feuds into every exchange, seeing even a statement like hello as an effort to colonize and enslave it. As always, then, we find that what appears to be merely stupid on the surface turns out to be still very stupid, of course, but even more insidious and hideous than it first appeared. And this is ultimately why, to David Oliver and Suni Rucker Chang and anyone else associated with this article, we must say to all of them, aloha, and you're canceled. That's all we've got for today. Thanks for listening. Talk to you tomorrow. Godspeed.
KSFO San Francisco, KSAN HD2 San Mateo, a Cumulus media station. Some senators say they're being stonewalled by the Biden administration. I'm Jack Callahan, Fox News. Members of the Senate Intelligence Committee complaining the Director of National Intelligence has refused to give them information about the unsecured classified documents found in President Biden's home and think tank office. Avril Haines telling the senators who have top-secret clearance she couldn't tell them anything while a special counsel is investigating. Committee Chairman, Virginia Democrat Senator John Warner, not satisfied.
Regardless of Democrat or Republican, we're unanimous in that this position, that we are left in limbo until somehow a special counsel designates that it's okay for us to get briefed, is not going to stand.
Arkansas Republican Senator Tom Cotton says the Senate could block confirmation of any future Biden nominees until they get a look at the documents. Sheriff's detectives in L.A. County still baffled about the motive for the Saturday night shooting at a dance hall that left 11 people dead. They can find no connection between the killer and his victims or the location where it happened.
We do not believe the suspect has frequented the dance studio in the last 5 years.
Sheriff Robert Luna, Vice President Kamala Harris visited yesterday with relatives of some of the 11 victims.
We will always, as a compassionate nation, mourn for the loss and pray for those who survived.
Vice President also called for passage of new gun laws. A judge in California has issued an order preventing the state from enforcing the so-called medical misinformation law. It would allow the Medical Board of California to discipline doctors who support opinions about COVID-19 not in line with what lawmakers called contemporary scientific consensus. 5 doctors had sued, saying the law violates their First Amendment rights and impedes communication with their patients. America is listening to Fox News. Stay on top of the latest forecast with America's Weather Team in the palm of your hand.
Here's the latest from America's Weather Center.
It's Fox weather updates throughout your busy day, every day.
5 inches of rain by tomorrow.
Temperatures being 30 degrees above average.
Put the power of over 100 meteorologists and the worldwide resources of Fox in your hands with the Fox Weather Podcast. Precise, personal, powerful. Subscribe and listen now at foxnewspodcast.com. Connect to Fox News Audio on the Fox News app. Listen to hear your favorite hosts like Brian Kilmeade, Jimmy Fallon, and Guy Benson standing up for what's right, live and via podcast. Just click listen, then swipe right and hear the latest news updates on your time. And scroll down to hear the latest podcasts from Fox News. And it's even easier to listen in the car with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Get programming alerts and notifications. Fox News Audio is on the Fox News app. The voices America trusts. Download it now. The U.S. Transportation Department has started its probe of the Southwest Airlines meltdown over the holidays.
A spokesperson for the Department of Transportation tells Fox it has begun looking into whether or not Southwest executives engaged in unrealistic scheduling of flights, which under federal law would be considered a deceptive business practice. Southwest is also warning it will be held accountable if it does not provide timely refunds and reimbursements to the millions of passengers who were left stranded. An airline spokesperson tells Fox Southwest will continue to cooperate with any inquiry from government officials. Southwest says the December cancellations cost the company roughly $825 million. In Washington, Sean Angel, Fox News.
We will get a look, perhaps as early as today, at the footage from body cameras worn by the police officers who responded to Nancy Pelosi's home the night her husband, Paul, was attacked with a hammer. The judge ordering the video's release, the San Francisco District Attorney and Defense Counsel had wanted the recordings kept away from the public. Police in Memphis are preparing to release the body cam video of the arrest of a black motorist during a traffic stop earlier this month. Tyree Nichols died days later. Memphis Police Chief C.J. Davis making her first public comments on the case.
This incident was heinous, reckless, and inhumane. And in the vein of transparency, when the video is released in the coming days, you will see this for yourself. 5
Memphis police officers who are also black were fired last week for excessive use of force. Ukrainian officials say Russia has launched a wave of missiles and self-exploding drones on the country. Air raid sirens wailing nationwide Thursday morning. Ukrainian military says they've shot down some of the missiles and many of the drones. Those attacks coming just hours after Germany and the United States announced that they will send advanced battle tanks to Ukraine. I'm Jack Callahan. This is Fox News.
Balance of Nature, changing the world one life at a time.
I'm a physician, and I still see patients every day. And, so I tell my patients about this. And they ask me, what are you taking? And so I tell them, taking Balance of Nature. And they go, oh, yeah, I've heard about that. So I tell them how to get it. I give them your telephone number, 246-8751. And I tell them, call this number. And I said, they'll take care of you after that. So, I'm a primary care. I really think that it works well for people to have fruits and vegetables.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature right now. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com for more information or to place your order. Shipping is always free. And don't forget to get 35% off your first order as a preferred customer by using discount code KSFO.
Talk about everything from politics to social issues and news in the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. This is Red Eye Radio.
All across the USA and around the world, we're Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Curley and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Thank you for being here. Now, this is interesting. We had so much talk about what's going on with Biden and everything. By the way, download our app today and listen when and where you want. But so much of the Fed gate. And I just happened to see this today and I went, wow, okay. Because nobody really thinks of this much when you talk about, the primaries, for example, which will be coming up the year coming up. And I just happened to see this yesterday. This may give you an idea of how slim the pickings are. It is not Biden who leads. Biden is in second place. Can anybody guess in New Hampshire who leads? I'll give you a moment. Pete Buttigieg. Think about this. The person who right now in the public's eye has been most criticized in the Biden administration for being incompetent as the Secretary of Transportation. Over and over and over again, he pulls in 23% of the vote in New Hampshire, Biden 18%, Elizabeth Whining Warren
18, Bernie Sanders 15, AOC 6, Klobuchar